This is one of those lipsticks that I can just tell is going to be all over my teeth in about 30 seconds. Alright, so today for Foundation Friday, we are doing a foundation update video. It is that time. I looked to see when the last one of these I did was, and apparently it was 7 months ago, which seems wrong. That seems very wrong. But if it is, in fact, the case, time literally flies. Where has 7 months gone? I feel like I just did this like a couple months ago. But Foundation Friday updates are basically where I go through the foundations that I've already reviewed and done a first impression on and give you my updated thoughts, whether I still use them, if I don't use them, like it, don't like it, any kind of updated thoughts on them, and where I stand on the products now. So the foundations that I'm talking about today are ones that I feel like I am ready to give you my opinion on, you know. Before we jump into the foundations, if you have not seen it yet, I launched a Thrives in Fall shirt that is limited edition. It is super soft, ships internationally, available in plus size, and it'll only be available until they sell out. So I'll have the link down below, but when you guys are seeing this, I'll actually be getting my shirt in the mail today. So I'll definitely be posting it on Instagram so you guys can see what it looks like on and everything today. So go head over to my Instagram if you want to see that. So it has been like not even the month, like the last 3 months have been crazy with foundation launches. I have reviews on all of the products I'm going to talk about, so I'll link them down below next to the actual product. But basically, it has been a wild, wild west over here in foundation country. What was that? Yeah, it's been wild, okay? So one of the newer launches is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. So this one I have in the shade 20NN, and this is basically like my perfect shade match, which is weird because it doesn't look like it in the bottle. I have a weird skin tone where sometimes yellow foundations look totally off, but some of them like this where it has a hint of yellow, but it's still kind of neutral, it works. Anyways, we're not getting into the shades, but this I like reaching for because it is like my perfect shade match. To sum up this foundation, before I dive into it, I would just say you really have to work with this one. It's a weird formula where it can look beautiful once you've taken the time to really work it into your skin, build it up, blend it out, but it does take time. Like I wouldn't recommend this for anyone who's in a rush in the morning whatsoever. If you want something that you can just throw on really quick, this is not the foundation. This one I would say is medium coverage. It is buildable, but what I like using this for is like a final foundation topper, which sounds weird, but the best way that I found that this works for me is if I put down a base of something else that has like a little bit more coverage, or just that I don't have to build up so much, because this you do have to use a lot of, and what it does is it just like really seals the deal almost. Like I feel like it gives this beautiful finishing kind of layer to it. It has a really beautiful satin finish. So with that being said, should you go out and buy this if you're just looking for like one foundation and you're not a foundation psycho like I am? Probably not, is my opinion, if you have a similar skin type to me. By the way, if you're new here, my skin type is normal to dry, more on the dry side. I have some texture, foundations look weird on my forehead, and my skin is pretty finicky. So to find a foundation that looks like amazing on my skin is a little bit tricky. Okay, so this foundation is what I'm wearing right now on my face. It's the Smashbox Studio Skin Full Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. This is also a new launch. So in the review, I was wearing the shade 1.1, which I'd ordered online, which was way too dark. Ended up ordering, again online, 0.3 Fair. It says fair with neutral undertone. 0.3 is way too light for me. This one is way too dark. So I've just been kind of mixing these two shades, and it seems to work fine. This foundation, you guys, I would say is up there with Dermacol coverage. It is opaque full coverage. Very full coverage. If you have acne, you would probably love this. A little bit goes a super long way because it is so full coverage, and I also love mixing this, especially because I got a shade that is too light, so it's been nice to use as like a mixing foundation if I have one that's too dark and I want to add some coverage. It is beautiful as a mixing foundation. Overall, I would say is a satin finish, but it does look really different depending on what you put underneath and over top of it. Today, I didn't use my normal glowy La Roche-Posay moisturizer. I used an Elta MD one, and then I put on like a more kind of like mattifying primer, and it looks pretty matte. Like I would say it looks like satin matte today, but it can look super dewy. This doesn't feel like a thick foundation to me. Like it feels comfortable on the skin. If you don't put on too much, it can feel super lightweight. You don't need a lot because of how insane the coverage is. So even though this is a higher end, higher priced foundation compared to some drugstore foundations, because you only need a drop of this and you could mix it in or wear it on its own, I think this is totally worth it to have in your foundation collection, no matter what skin type you are, because again, you can always mix it. And I've just been throwing it in my travel bag. I've been doing lots of travel the last couple months, and I've just been throwing it in because I know I can always make any foundation work with it, basically. So I did a video comparing the CYO to the Soap & Glory Kick-Ass Foundation, and I just wanted to update you that basically exactly the same thing. So if you have been so upset the CYO, the brand is being discontinued entirely, and you haven't been able to pick up this foundation, or you don't want to or whatever since it is discontinued, you can get this, and it's pretty much an exact replacement. It is double the cost. You can check out that video if you want to learn more about how these two compare and see like a side-by-side wear test. But I've been still reaching for CYO over this one just because I have so many bottles of CYO, but virtually the same thing. Also, if you're new here and you don't know, CYO Long Lasting Life Proof Foundation has been my favorite dewy skin-like foundation for the last however long I've been using now, like over a year and a half probably. All right, next up is a foundation that is definitely not in my top, not even top like 500, the Fenty Beauty Hydrating Foundation. So this is Fenty's new launch. I do have a review on the old Fenty foundation and this guy, and this was awful. Like, this on my skin just did not work. I know some people like it, but also on that video, I found out a lot of you guys also really don't like it and didn't work for your skin. There's something about this one. I did try it probably like 2 or 3 other times after that video just to make sure. Something about this foundation in my skin do not mesh well. This starts breaking down on me literally after a few hours. It looks awful. So definitely pass on this. On that same note, the new Anastasia foundation is actually at my boyfriend's house right now because I was trying it out in that makeup bag. But that foundation, I would say if you were into, I guess, like the finish and dewiness of it, just go with the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth Foundation. It virtually looks exactly the same as when you put on the Anastasia one, except it lasts better throughout the day. And it's about a third of the price. So Anastasia and Fenty were probably two of the most hyped up foundation launches, and they both just super underwhelmed me, and I don't think it's worth the money. A foundation that I do think is worth the money and that is pricey is the Givenchy Tint Couture Everwear. I have a piece of hair stuck in here. This foundation I talked about in the best foundations for wedding makeup, bridal foundations. I talked about this foundation there, and I think in the passport video, I did a video for license or passport photos, and I went in depth about like the base products, so I'll link that video in the eye and down below if you missed it. Basically, this foundation is one of the most beautiful full coverage satin, like true satin dewy kind of foundations. It is full coverage. It just gives you like the prettiest, plump, healthy looking skin, but still being full coverage, and it just glides on your face so beautifully. I do think that this one is worth the money. If you've been looking for a good high-end foundation that gives you just coverage but also just plumps up your skin, I feel like this would be nice on more mature skin as well, then I do think this one is worth the money. I feel like this is one of those foundations that if I went through it, like a whole bottle, I would repurchase it. So that's saying a lot because I have about 400 foundations in this room right now. I don't have a perfect shade match in this one, but I think the closest is P115. Probably the most blah kind of foundation I have out of any of the ones I'm talking about today, where I don't absolutely hate it, but I don't love it, and I don't necessarily think you should go buy it, is the Milk Makeup Stick Foundation. So I think when you guys are seeing this video, this review just went up last week, maybe the week before, but I've actually had this video filmed for about a month now at least, so I actually tried it in my time, like a month ago. Same with these foundations. If any of them you're seeing where I just reviewed it like 2 weeks ago and I'm talking about it, I've been pre-filming Foundation Friday videos like crazy, all of my videos right now, so I've really filmed them over a month ago. So this foundation stick by Milk Makeup, I've tried probably 6 or 7 times since then because it was always like, I almost liked it. You know those products where you're like, this is so close, but there's something about it? That's this foundation stick for me. I wish it had a little bit more coverage. I feel like I have to use so much of this to get like a flawless application on my face, and also just starts looking crappy after a few hours of wear. So I just would say this one is not long lasting at all, and I don't even have oily skin, so typically foundations will last decent on my skin compared to back when I had oily skin, but this is one of those that just starts looking really crappy after a few hours. It starts looking like creasy, and I can just kind of like see it breaking down on my chin area. So for the price, I just think this is not worth it. If you want a good stick foundation, get the Makeup Forever Ultra HD. This guy, so overhyped in my opinion. This is the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetish Sublime Foundation. I'm sure it works beautifully on some people's skin, but if you find that foundations typically react the same way on your skin as they do on my skin, pass on this one. Save yourself 60 whatever bucks it is. When I first put this on, I gave it the 2 thumbs up. It was looking beautiful, and then a few hours in, it just started looking crappy. By the end of the night, it just looks super oily, not even dewy. It's like oil, like straight up oil on my face. So the only way I could see this being worth it is if you specifically want a high-end foundation, if you really like the packaging, or if you just want to, you know, support Pat McGrath, whatever it is, and you are okay with a foundation that only lasts for a few hours. Like maybe you just want to put this on to like go to dinner or something, you're not gonna be wearing it the full day, then it looks pretty. But for just like the average consumer, I would say this is just so expensive for how it performs. And they're just, I mean, there are drugstore foundations that hold up so much better throughout the day and that look virtually the same. I mean, if you want the same kind of like dewy finish, that's the thing with this, the Anastasia one and the Fenty. If you are going for that dewy skin-like kind of look, just go buy this. That's all you need. Looks better on the skin, lasts amazing, and you don't have to spend $68 or whatever this is. I do like the packaging though. I'll say that. Very beautiful packaging. So this is a drugstore foundation that I really liked when I reviewed it. And the more I've used it, I've discovered that it is a little bit of a finicky product, but I still love it. And if you find a good primer product combo with this, it can look beautiful. This is the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Foundation. This is full coverage, super lightweight. Some people are comparing this to the It Cosmetics CC Cream. These are literally nothing alike. I think they're only comparing it because the packaging looks similar and the fact that it has SPF 50. I mean, that's literally the only resemblance. This is full coverage. It is super lightweight. It feels thin. It feels like your skin. It almost just feels like you have like a tinted moisturizer on, but it has coverage. The more I tested this and just used it with different primers and everything, the more I discovered that it is very specific with like the primers that it works well with. And the best one I found is the Hourglass Veil Primer. That with this foundation just lasts amazing and it looks beautiful. It doesn't like do anything weird. If you try and layer this with certain things, it can almost like pill a little bit. We're getting down to the last few here. So here's the Dior Nude Air Serum Foundation. This foundation I did use in the summer when I had self tanner on because the shade is way too dark. This is the lightest shade 10 and it is super dark. I did like using this if I was just like going to the beach or something, or like going out to lunch where I just wanted like something on my skin that made it so it matched my neck but it didn't look like I was wearing foundation. It does look very lightweight and just smoothing at the beginning, and it looks very flawless for the first couple hours, but that's the only time I would use this foundation, when I knew I wasn't going to be like out in the sun all day. I just wanted a little something for a couple hours. Is that worth it for this price tag and a Dior foundation? Probably not, you know. I could definitely have just gone in with like the Maybelline one in a different shade. So I don't think it's worth it just for that, but I'm just sharing how I used it because I already had it. So I don't love it. It's not super long lasting, but it does look pretty for the first few hours. This one I just wanted to give a quick mention to let you know that I don't feel like I have full thoughts on this one yet, but I know a lot of you guys have been asking about this. The Believe Beauty Dollar General Skin Finish Foundation. I tried this in the video I did testing Dollar General makeup, and it wasn't a full day wear test, so some of you were asking like how does it wear throughout the day? What do I think of it? Still haven't given this like a full test, so this will be coming in the next foundation update video. So I just need to really like put this aside on my desk and remind myself to use it. I've just been testing so many new foundations, clearly, that I haven't given this a chance. All right, and then I saved the best for last. You guys probably knew this was coming if you saw this review. This is the Kokie Full Coverage Foundation in the shade 10C. That's the one I use. So, like I said, I reviewed this weeks ago now. I think I've been testing this for maybe like 3 weeks, I want to say. I brought this to Vegas with me, brought it to Portland. I've been wanting to reach for this every day. I've been stopping myself because I have other things to test, but I've been wanting to reach for this one. This foundation is probably the most beautiful full coverage matte foundation I have found, I think. That's a big statement, but I really think it is. It lasts better for me than the Lawless foundation. The Lawless foundation is probably the closest thing I could compare this to, but this one lasts even better throughout the day. This is a drugstore foundation. It is full coverage. It gives you that matte, blurred, airbrush kind of look, and it lasts amazing on my skin. The shade works for me. Like, everything about this I just love. It's one of those products that I can just put on and I know it's going to sit well on my skin. I don't need to like fuss with it a whole lot. The only thing I don't like is the scent. It has a very strong fruity scent. That's the only downside for me with this one. I've loved how it holds up on my skin. Even in like, we were walking in Vegas in, what was it, like 90 something degree heat. My foundation held up great. So if you can get your hands on this and find a shade, I would totally recommend it. I do think they are going to expand the shade range, so fingers crossed for that, because this foundation is killer and I want more people to talk about this and discover it because, wow, it's great. All right, folks, those were all of the foundations that I'm going to give you updates on for now. Those aren't all of the ones I've been testing. Those are just like the ones that I feel like I'm ready to give you my thoughts on, and some of the newer launches and everything that some of you have been asking about. So if you found this video helpful and you want to continue to see Foundation Friday update videos, do let me know by giving this video a thumbs up, or you can comment down below. But if you're new here, I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Again, I'll have the link for the fall shirt down below. Only available until it sells out. Yep, there you go. I will have the makeup we're wearing right now down below in the description box, but I'm wearing the BrittanyBear lashes in Poppin. Have on just some basic mattes using the e.l.f. Classics palette. Lips are Ardell Vinyl Vixen in Kinky Nude. Wow. Blush is Lancome Mocha Havana, which is very pretty. It looks nothing in the pan like how it does on your face. And then for bronzer, I'm using Bare Minerals Original Powder Foundation in the shade Medium. You guys will see this coming in a video to come. And then for highlight, I used Essence Pure Nude Highlighter, also coming in a video where I talk about this in the shade 10. Been obsessed. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye. Alright, so today it is Foundation Friday. This is where I try, nope, we are not trying it out. What are we doing? We're reviewing foundations that I've already tried.